Hello friends, today I have a super special video. I'm collabing with two incredible humans who happen to be absolutely unreal doll artists. If you like my doll and like my video, please consider giving me a like and subscribe if you want to see more. I super appreciate it. Thank you in advance. Make sure to check the description box for everybody's links. The theme was Steampunk Christmas. So on the right, Stitchwyck Witch created Steampunk Santa's Little Helper Elf. In the middle, Fairiekin created a steampunk nutcracker, and on the left is my doll. I created a Christmas angel. My base was Rebecca, who I actually received from Stitchwyck Witch very generously. Stitchwyck Witch had already prepped her for me, so I am just going to pop a picture in to show you what Rebecca looks like. I wanted my doll to be wearing a corset. Corsets change your figure quite dramatically, and I wanted that to reflect in my doll, so as usual I'm giving her a boob job. I'm not giving her the normal boob job that I'd usually do today. Because she'll be wearing that corset, her boobs are going to be pushed up higher in like the Victorian style. Steampunk is often influenced by Victorian fashion, and I want to make sure that that's visible. I didn't pick a set era in Victorian fashion to work from because it is a like fiction based fashion, so I thought I could get quite a lot of leeway here. After I've put the first pass of epoxy, I let her dry and then I'm sanding her to get the final shape. First I'm using a coarser nail file and then a 240 grit nail buffer. I don't like rerouting with yarn, so I decided that I was going to make her a wig. I followed Mazekito's tutorial for wig caps. I've linked her below and in one of the cards. I used this multicoloured red chunky yarn to make wefts. When it brushed out, it had some like orangey tones and some greys. I tried making the wig and it was a fail, so I was convinced to do a reroute, and as with the rest of this project, Stitchwyck sent me the reroute tools. This project was sponsored by Stitchwyck. I knew that I wanted to have wings for this project, and here I'm embracing my inner Bernadette banner and going a bit more aesthetic, but only because I didn't have any heating in my house, so I sat in front of the heater. This is the same wing pattern that I used to do the last wings I made, however the mechanics don't need to be hidden. I think actually that's going to add quite a lot to the design, so I'm building that into the wing design itself. I want the wings to look like stained glass, so I decided to use clear plastic which I sanded so that I could draw on it, and then to make it a bit stronger because it was very flimsy, I used wood glue to glue two of those sheets together. Lots of steampunk fashion showed stripy trousers underneath kind of a dress, and I wanted to include that in my design. I received this fabric in a swap. The swap doll was amazing. I've linked her below as well. I shared her on my Instagram, just like blown away. Let me know what you think to more chill, more aesthetic vibes. I don't hate it. As usual, I'm gluing around the edge of my pieces to make it less frayable. And then I had a help from a cat who I think is trying to eat my pins. Obviously I worked around the cat, I'm not a monster. Other cat came to help too. I need to get an OnlyFans. I'm sorry, this is entirely inappropriate. I have a video explaining pattern making for trousers. This is exactly how I made those trousers in that pattern. Then I tried to sew them on camera. I hate sewing on camera. I did do a little bit of sewing on live stream, so if you're interested, hop over and check the live stream. And then World War III happened. I don't know if I can be an aesthetic YouTuber, but I tried. So I did the reroute, and still on my living room floor I glued her with wood glue. I was inspired by various things making this project, but one of the artists that I looked at had these incredible sculptures, and they had kind of this halo design, so I wanted to use that for my angel. I'm using craft foam and making like a lollipop, so we're going to add more layers to this. I'm just drying it with the wire so I can attach it. I'm using a craft knife to just score these lines in, like the artist did, and then when you heat it a little bit it makes those slits open and become more pronounced. Third cat, come to help! I extended those lines so that they fill the rest of the halo, and then again I held them in front of the heater so that it would open. I gave her a quick base coat on the epoxy. Honestly, I was trying to match her skin tone. I knew I wanted to go over them with metallic anyway, but that was not even close to her skin tone. I painted the halo as well. I wanted to use my Dremel to kind of sand around the edge of the halo, but my Dremel is Japanese, and so the voltage in the UK is too high for it. It was like sparking, so I gave up on that. These tiny gears I'm adding are nail decorations. I used a scrap of real leather to make the boot uppers. I'd made a masking tape pattern, and then I'm just using epoxy sculpt to make the soles. I'm actually extending these quite a lot more than her foot is. It's just kind of added onto the edge because I've made like the boot part out of epoxy before, and it makes it impossible to get the doll's foot in. I'm then adding the sole as well, and I just cut those little pieces of glue stick to make heels. Once the epoxy sculpt was dry, I sanded it off, and I just used the toothbrush there to brush off the epoxy dust. I'm also using the craft knife to cut down a little bit of the epoxy. I can never get the finish that I want on epoxy just from the sculpture. I always have to sand. And then I'm using wood glue again to add the heels on. I used embroidery floss. I just used like 3 strands to lace the shoes there. I'm using red because I'm going to make her a little kind of Bolero jacket in a burgundy colour. I was planning to do all blue, not that I think blue is necessarily a winter or a Christmassy colour. However, very strangely, my little village has all their Christmas decorations in blue and red, so I don't know if that was subliminally in there. It wasn't, spoiler. I don't have any other fabric, so that wasn't really a choice. I tied one boot. I always like one shoe done, one shoe undone. I think it's just really, really cute. And then I painted the epoxy black to make it all look complete in just like one part of one boot. I'm pretty happy with how these turned out. Making shoes is literally the hardest thing in dolls, I think, and I'm pretty happy with how they came out. So I'm going to talk a little bit about my influence with the face up. I found this incredible artist on Instagram. I have no idea how I found him, but as soon as I realised that I wanted to do an automaton, I knew that I wanted to bring kind of his style into this doll. His sculptures are really, really reasonably priced on Etsy. I think I am probably going to save up for one because they're just so beautiful. I've never seen anything like it. with the rest of the entire build and with the face up, when I think of steampunk, I tend to think dystopia. So I was thinking about the big daddies and big sisters from Bioshock, and I'm getting quite Bioshock Infinite vibes from this doll when she's done as well. And then also of the stalkers from Mortal Engines, and I think both like the Bioshock side and the Mortal Engines side of like the automaton robot type thing are so dark. Like my absolute favourite characters in the Mortal Engines quartet are the stalkers. It's just so heartbreaking what happens to them. Hashtag no spoilers, but yeah, it's so dark and disturbing, and I'm kind of into that. So I wanted this doll to be dark and disturbing as well. And like my idea for her was like, well, why is she an angel? Like, what is it in this world that has made her look like an angel? And I thought maybe they could be like an aviation military branch or something, which is why I gave her like a military Bolero jacket type thing. And then like the halo, I was thinking maybe her wings are controlled with that or something. I definitely wanted her to have completely black eyes, so I didn't put catchlights in really. I did them mostly black with a little bit of blue. And then also I want most of her skin tone to be the same skin tone as Rebecca. I don't want to mess with that very much, so I'm really just shading. When I was doing this, it kind of reminded me a little bit of the mummy that I did, I think because of like the skeletal vibes around her jaw, and I think like that was a face up I really struggled with but did really enjoy. And I think I've learned quite a lot since then. And this isn't necessarily my style, I don't think, but I think it turned out pretty effectively. I'm pretty happy with how the face up turned out. This green I'm putting on, I was thinking of it being like patina on copper, but it's kind of turned out looking just dirty, which I think I love even more. I think that was an interesting touch. So last time I talked about my ghosts, and I got so many incredible ghost stories in the comments. I really wasn't expecting that, but like absolutely fascinating ghost stories, and I loved reading them. Thank you so much. And one of the comments said that they think I have a brownie, and I was like, well, isn't that a fairy? That's a type of fairy. I'm not sure if I believe in that. And then I was trying to sleep in the top room. I actually can't sleep up there now. It's too cold. I'm going to explain a bit more about my housing situation in my next video, so stay tuned for that. And to be able to sleep in that cold, I was kind of meditating to try and I don't know, it kind of knocks me out anyway, but also always makes me feel a bit better about pain or anything. And sometimes when I meditate, I have visions, and I had like a half vision, half reality thing. So I could still see the wall. My eyes were closed. I could still see the wall, and then this like creature dropped down at the top of the stairs, and this creature looked like Dobby from Harry Potter, and I was like, well, that's a bit weird. I'm clearly on the edge of dreaming, or just my mind's playing tricks. And then I remembered what my buddy said about the brownie, and I was like, I've heard of brownies, let's have a Google. And I googled, are brownies house elves? And they are. So I'm pretty sure I've got a brownie. In my Googling, I found that Dobby is a Yorkshire name for a brownie. Yorkshire is where I'm from, or Mr. Dobbs in Sussex. I thought that was a really interesting connection. So I started learning about brownies a little bit, and you're supposed to leave them milk or like cakes as kind of like an offering on the hearth, and I have 2 hearths. So I left my brownie a brownie. I don't think he's into brownies, or he didn't like the irony or the play on words there. So I think he probably wanted nuts, because I think what happened when I found that trail of nuts up to my inhaler was the brownie must have done it, right? So my brownie must like nuts. but I don't have any nuts. It's not something I eat very often, and they're not cheap. I am so broke. I'm so broke. Let me know if you have any experiences like with like pixies or brownies or anything. Like the only thing I knew about brownies was like we have brownie guides, right? In the UK I was a brownie, and then yeah, learning about them, apparently they do like household chores in the night, or like anything that's in order they'll mess up, and anything that's a mess they'll tidy up, kind of thing. And like stuff around my house does go missing, and it'll go missing for days, and then it'll be somewhere I've looked, so I don't know if like the brownie is borrowing things. But yeah, Buddy said that the borrowers were based on brownies, and I loved the borrowers when I was a kid. There was a British TV show with Ian Holm in it. Let me know if you watched it, because it was so good. I absolutely loved it. And yeah, that kind of was quite interesting to me, because obviously they're borrowing things, and they do try and take things that won't go noticed. You won't know that it's gone. Yeah. So all I knew of brownies, of course, was like they come with old houses. I was kind of linking with Harry Potter as well, because the author, who must not be named, although that broke my heart, although the things seemed kind of new, they are all from old folklore. So brownies won't accept clothes, they find it insulting, and they'll disappear. If brownies are named, they'll disappear. And brownies come with old houses, right? And my house is old, so I know that this house is listed. And actually, I'll put that link in the description box if you're interested, because I'm not doxing myself now. I'm moving finally. I'll talk about this more in my next video. Next video is going to be a 2020 catharte, which I think is going to be quite fun, and I've had a lot go down, so I have a lot to talk about. But yeah, so it's this 300-year-old house, and there's been some remodelling going on, and brownies don't like that. So maybe that's some issues I've been having. So back to the face up. I did her eyes completely black, and I am glossing them now. I don't think I've ever glossed a doll's eyes in a video before, and that's because it does make it more difficult to photograph if you've drawn catchlights, which I haven't. Here I'm painting the boobs metallic. I'm not doing the same colours. If you can see on Rebecca, if you're not familiar with Monster High, she's made out of like plates, and I think what's her name, Akameru Kawaii, did a Rebecca, and I'm pretty sure she painted all the plates in different metallic colours, and I thought that looked incredible. So this is that little military Bolero jacket that I made. It was a nightmare. The clothes for this doll was so difficult, and I'm just hemming the bottom of that. I kind of would have liked it to be a little smaller. Like once the wings were on and the corset was on, it made it so her boobies didn't show very much, and I really did want to show that cleavage. But I can probably adapt the corset a little bit in the future. I'm going to go through all the clothes a little bit more when I'm dressing her. But this was just me finishing off the bits and bobs and lacing the corset. So I laced the boots in red, so I decided to lace the corset in blue to kind of try and tie it together a little bit. So putting the wings together, they're all in double thickness of that plastic, and then I painted the bars in kind of gold. I wanted it to look like she'd broken one wing and then just like used found objects to put it back together again, so there's little cracks drawn in the wing as well. I'm using glasses screws to screw it together. I'm doing them as tight as I can, but I also put a dab of PVA glue on the bolts so that it won't come undone. I don't have like thread Loctite to use, and that would be far too fiddly on these anyway. So I really thought that visually the mechanics added to the look of this doll. They needed to be hidden in the angel that I did before, but this one I thought it added because of the steampunk element, and there's often like hydraulics showing and stuff. And this is literally just what you need for these wings to work. Dremel wasn't working, so this is just a hand drill. If you're going to use it, start with a smaller gauge and build up. I went too big too fast and snapped the drill bit. I'm such a Hulk. I snapped a needle as well. So top right, you can see I've added a piece of plastic over the top of those gears. I'm really happy with her face up, to be honest, like tooting my own horn, toot toot. I had quite a strong idea of what I wanted to do with her hair. When I was Googling, there was this woman with just like stunning red hair, and that she was a big influence for how I wanted her hair to look. I think it looks kind of a little bit aerial, but I'm not against that at all. I think it's kind of the right period if I'm like going... Am I going 1800s-ish? Yeah, mid-1850s, is it? So just twisting and then sewing the hair in place. I'm not sure if I've seen other people do this. I know this is done with human hair sometimes, but it was just like the only way I could figure out getting it to stay where I wanted it, and being able to do that quickly. I did think about giving her a ribbon, but I didn't want to then hide those little twists in the back because I think they're pretty cute. I really like the colours that are showing in her hair. I've learnt that if you twist when you're ironing on a paintbrush or a chopstick or something, it stops you getting like a square curl. I sewed her quiff in place as well. Oh, I'm so happy with her hair too. This was a really difficult doll. I'm sorry for like blowing my trumpet the whole time through this, but like I really struggled with her. So I'm just screwing the wings into her back. I love that they look like tiny little chicken wings when they're like down, and then when they're out they look quite regal, but that chicken wing makes me laugh a little bit. I mean, obviously like wings do that, that's why chicken wings look like chicken wings. Not very glam though, is it? So I'm using a longer screw in the middle of her back because of the massive sway back that Monster High dolls have. It's good being able to leave these bare as well because they will need tightening at some point, and just easily being able to get in there. You know, I don't like sewing a doll's clothes to them. So here I'm lacing up the corset kind of how you would lace up a corset, which does make it a closure, so this will be removable. And then because of the wings I couldn't lace the entire back of the corset, which is kind of why it's hiding her boobs a little bit more than I wanted. The strings got a little bit tangly when I was trying to tighten the corset. See, look, her boobs look so good and then they got hidden. The lacing at the front is just decorative, but the one at the back is functional. You can see just under my hand I added some screws to her knees. This doll, her knees were wobbly and bending backwards, but that completely fixed it. They were like over bending, so that screw there just stops that from happening. I used the hand drill to do that. When I made the petticoat, I just watched Morgan Donna's video making a bustle chair, and she had this like bustle back petticoat, and I just thought it was so cute and stunning. And a lot of the fashion images I saw of steampunk clothing had this kind of ruched up at the front look, and I think it makes sense because like steampunk is supposed to be modern, like, right? Like it's retro futurism, as Stitchwyck Witch told me. So obviously humans were wanting to walk a bit more in this pretend future, so tucking up the petticoat is still feminine, but then also you'd be able to walk properly. So there's the boots that I made, and I am actually genuinely impressed that they go on and off so easily. Like, it's always touch and go with homemade shoes. heating her head to get it back on properly. If you don't use a hairdryer, how do you get the heads back on? Like, is there another way? I couldn't find my hairdryer once and I was like kind of fretting. I'm never without a hairdryer now, but I didn't really know how to get that on. So I was thinking about drilling holes in her back to add the halo, but I in the end decided to just wind it around her neck. This way that it's never going to get tangled with the wings, and she's got a high collar on her jacket which hides it anyway, but I don't think the wires being around her neck necessarily look negative. I think it's an interesting addition, you know, it makes it look kind of like a necklace. With all the automatons as well, I think there's that kind of subtext of them being subservient to humans, right? And it's a bit like a collar then as well. So this is the jacket I made. I used buttons as closures in these clothes because I had no idea where my Velcro was. I'm so happy with how this jacket turned out. So I did it double-breasted on the front. It's a fake front opening because I desperately wanted it to look like that, but while I was trying to make it with the front opening, it was just a nightmare. And then I sewed those 2 buttons to make it look double-breasted because kind of Victorian military wear often did have that double-breasted look, I think. I like historical fashion, I'm not very knowledgeable. I wanted to showcase the doll at the end a bit more and make sure to show the finished pieces because I feel like I don't do that enough and you don't get to see the doll in its complete state as much as I think I would want to if I was a viewer. So I am trying harder to show off my work a bit. I'm so happy with how she turned out. Like, honestly, I didn't even think I would get her done, let alone done to this standard. Shaky cam showcase. So what do you think? I'm really, really proud of her. Also, what do you think of the other 2 artist dolls? Make sure you go check them out. They're so clever and they're so lovely, just absolutely incredible humans. I've really loved chatting to them more and more as this year has gone on. Do you have plans for the holidays? Are you able to do anything? I know the Rona's not helping. I hope you liked her. Thank you so much for tuning in. Like, subscribe, do all the fun YouTube things if you so wish, and I shall see you next time. Bye.
Oh, it's like the outside is inside, but it's like, yeah, from, let me